Hello. Um, I know I haven't made a video in a while. Today, a couple of my students came to me. Actually, not students. They were my football players, and they came to me. Drip and Dre. Drip and Dre, if you're watching, this video's for you. They came to me and they said, "Hey, Smalls, man, I like those videos you make. Why don't you make some more? You should make one every day. I like the knowledge you gave." And so I appreciate that. I really do, because you know I teach to help young men. In fact, the two upstanding young men came to me today and said they really get something out of what I post. Um, it really means a lot to me. Today's video is going to be on failure. Why failure? Well, today was finals day, first day of finals. Um, and inevitably there are some students that are going to be informed tomorrow that they're going to have to repeat my class. And I had a conversation with the parent today, and I informed the parent, you know, um, I looked at your son's test, and he didn't complete all the problems, and he needed to do well in order to pass. So if he doesn't have a minimum score, he's going to have to repeat 10th grade math over again. And I have a relationship with this parent. We've gone, we stay in contact, which that's the great thing about certain parents, is stay in contact with your teachers, know what's going on. And, I let the parent know, like, look, he just he hasn't been doing his work. He didn't take it seriously. And then it got to a point where he got so far behind that it was a lot of pressure to catch up in a short period of time. And the parent was understood. Last year I drug her kid to a 71% in my class, and I let her know I'm not dragging him this year. He had to drag himself, and he didn't. You know. Um, anyway, so what does what do you do when you spend an entire month? I'm sorry, entire semester or quarter, depending on your school, in a class, and you come out with nothing? How do you deal with that as a parent and as a student? Well, I can tell you, as no teacher should have a situation where your child is going to fail based on one action. That's not fair to the student, and it's just not fair to the parent. Because how do you help overcome that? How do you help fix that? You can't. So, with that said, if your child failed a class, it's because of behaviors that got them to the fail. And when I say behavior, I'm not necessarily talking about, how they act with the teacher, which in some cases that's the case. You know, um, Teaching in the quote unquote hood, um, there are a number of students who do not have proper social skills. And what I mean by social skills, I'm not talking about with their friends. I'm talking about when you are dealing with someone who is in a position of authority over you. There's a certain way you have to communicate with them, and a lot of kids that I come in contact with don't understand that. You know, I can say that as a teacher, I get cussed out on a regular basis, which is appalling to me. It's unheard of. And a good majority of those kids aren't successful in my class. And it's not because they're not successful in my class because they cussed me out, which kind of helps, but they're not successful because they don't know how to communicate their needs and their desires, or their problems and their frustrations. Um, and a lot of times when you if you ever happen to see their social environment or their home environment, that's how they communicate. So to them, it's normal. It's normal that if I disagree with you, I'm going to raise my voice and curse at you, except it hasn't dawned on them that, or they haven't realized or been taught that when someone has your livelihood or your education or something you need, there's a way to communicate. So that's one thing. But the behaviors that I'm talking about are more so of academic behaviors. A lot of teachers in the hood, that I know that teach in the hood, have given up giving homework because they feel that the kids don't do it. And it just makes it harder for them to pass the class. The kids don't do it, and you spend a whole lot of time disciplining them, calling parents, and things like that. And I'm gonna be honest with you, and if my educator friends out there might disagree with you, I think that is a cop out. That is a cop out. What are we preparing these kids for? Are we preparing these kids for Disneyland, or are we preparing these kids for life? If you have a job and your boss says take this home and bring it back and get it done, you get it done, or I'll find somebody else to do it. That means that you don't feed your family, you don't pay your bills, you don't feed your kids. So, I teach math. You can't get math through osmosis. I'm sorry. You're going to have to do it. And I can't get you all the knowledge you need in the 50 minutes or 90 minutes that I have. You're going to have to go home and practice. Your kid goes home and practice their jump shot. Your kid goes home and practice dribbling the basketball, dribbling the football. Your kid goes home and practice sliding the third base or swinging a baseball bat. Go home and practice some of these radicals or some of these fractions, right? And if your kid can't do that, then their behavior, their academic behavior, is not conducive to being successful, right? And so, when your child inevitably brings that F home, how do you deal with that? Well, as a parent, you have to not only take a look at your child's academic behavior, you also have to take a look at your supporting behavior as a parent. And what do I mean? Well, let's look at academic behavior. Your child should come home and do some type of educational activity to advance themselves in school every day. Between 6 classes, I'm willing to bet that one of your kids' teachers gave them some work. And even if there's no homework, there should be some type of reading, reviewing of notes. There should be something that they can do to prepare them for the next day of school. And if your kid comes home and says, I have nothing, then go find something. Read something. If you don't have straight A's, you could be working harder. So, when your kid comes home, what's the first thing that they do? Do they eat? Do they sleep? Do they go out and play? What's the first thing that they do? If your child is struggling, the first thing they should do is work. Or how about this? And I know sometimes in socioeconomically disadvantaged communities, which is another way of saying the hood, the home life isn't necessarily conducive to study. I once had a kid tell me that there's 8 of them in the house. There's no place to study. There's no room. There's no silence. In those situations, the kid can go someplace to study, a library, stay after school, hang out in a teacher's classroom, get their work. That's a real possibility. And as a parent, you may need to do a self-check on, am I providing an environment that is conducive to my child being able to study? And if that's not the case, and I do understand that a lot of times that may not be the case. You may not have, a spare room for your kid to go study. You may have, you may be sharing a home with someone else, and you may not be able to control the environment. And that's fine. But you have to create an environment where your child can be successful. And if that means that, you have to pick your kid up later from school so that they can study, or you have to let your child go to the library, that's kind of what you need to do, because bringing home one fail, it happens. But when you start bringing home fails, more than one fail, it develops a pattern, and that pattern at a certain point is hard to break. You know. On a side note, I had a student tell me today, I teach math and I teach finance. And my freshman finance class, we had a term paper due today, and the student turned it in. He didn't have a report cover, which was required. It wasn't formatted the greatest, and it was in green ink, green faded ink. And on the last day of my classes, I do something that I'm brave. I let my kids tell me what they think of me. Grades are already in, so tell me what you got to say. And I generally get very good responses, which I would love someday to tell me you are the worst teacher in the world, blah 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 blah. Hey, negative feedback is still feedback. It helps me get better. But this kid told me that it was hard for him to get the paper done because he doesn't have a computer at home. He doesn't have a printer at home. He doesn't have internet. So he had to stay after school some days and type the paper. He had to go to the library. He had to go several different places. And that's the best that he could do. And I told him that is what the entire assignment was about. Overcoming obstacles and using your resources to be successful. This is the hood. Nobody has anything. So the question is what are you going to do in order to be successful? And he said to me, find a way or make a way. I made a way. It's the best I could do. It's not perfect, but it's the best that I could do. I found a way. And I said, I'm proud of you for that. Respect. And this is a freshman. Strangely enough, I have three finance classes, freshman through junior. My freshmen turned in the best products. They overcome a lot. And so that is just an example of behaviors. There were a number of students who turned in nothing today, knowing that without turning in the term paper, they're not going to be it's going to be almost impossible to pass my class without turning the term paper in, because it's worth so much. And it's worth so much to help bring up the other grades, because a lot of kids didn't really take the midterm serious. Open notes, open book, go figure. I don't know. So, but this young man's behavior, academic behavior, was, I didn't do well on the test, on the midterm. I must do well on this paper. So I'm going to work on it every day. I'm going to ask the teacher for help. Can you take a look at this? How can I do this? Can you help me with this? So when your child, or if your child comes home with a fail or a bad grade, whatever you consider a bad grade, for your child, because some parents can have a higher bar. Some parents, you can't bring home anything lower than a B. I couldn't bring home a B. I had to get A. I got an A- once. I almost got in trouble for that one. And so you have to ask your child, what are you doing every day? And then you have to set an environment, set an expectation. I expect you to do work every day. Whatever it is. Read a book. Bring home the book and do a problem out the math book. I don't care, a random problem. I can care less. Do something. So that they get into the habit of doing work every day. As a teacher, I assign homework every day. Not because I like giving a lot of work, because I want the students to get in the habit of working every day. As a parent, you work every day, even on your off days. On your off days, you're running around, running errands, doing chores, going grocery shopping, doing laundry, cooking, cleaning. You don't get a day off. You may have a day where you don't have to go into work, but you're working every day. And we have to prepare our children for that. As parents, and I do understand as parents, you don't have the luxury of being able to stay at home and come up to the school every day and make sure that your kid is doing their work and talking to the teachers. I get it. My mother worked 3 to 11. You know, my mother slept most of the day and she was up all night. So my mother could never help me with homework, ever. When I was younger, my mother would wake me up 5, 6 o'clock in the morning in a cold floor in front of a chalkboard. But, um, once you get into high school, that kind of goes out the window. Moms will wake up early in the morning and help you with CJ Run and the Cat in the Hat and 2 plus 2. But when it comes to square root of 2 pi minus the negative square root of I, mom's not trying to wake up 2 o'clock in the morning for you to realize that she can't do the work. So, as parents, we need to create an environment for our kids to be successful. If your child failed a class or bring home fails, before you punish your kid, ask yourself, what did you do to contribute to that? Because your child did not just automatically bring home F's for no reason. Figure out what do you both need to do to help you both be successful. How can you more successfully support your child, and how can your child more successfully support themselves? Always remember that it takes a village to raise a child. That village includes a teacher. Talk to the teacher. And when I say talk to the teacher, at the end of the day, you need to be on the same side of the table as the teacher. The teacher is successful if your child is successful. And you are successful as a parent if your child is successful. So when you talk to the teacher, always talk to the teacher with an idea of what can we do to make this a better experience for my child. As always, I love you all like step cousins. Thank you for watching my video. I know this is very, very long. If you like what you hear, please like my video, subscribe, and share it with somebody else. Peace out.